Alright, so another year, another VHS movie is out. This time it's VHS 99, and I'm gonna be honest, I liked VHS 94 a lot better. Um, each segment was a lot better. I think there was more, what's the word, memorable ones. Um, this one isn't so bad. It's definitely trying to hone in on the 90s thing, especially the 99, so like the late 90s stuff. Someone I follow was saying not enough Jenko pants. True. They did have like some things that very much was like, I remember wearing that, or that was the thing. But yeah, not the pants weren't wide enough. They had some people with pants that were wide, but the pants weren't like I just remember people being like they could just fit like two people into every pants because it was just that. I mean, I never wore those because I'm already a wide person. I don't need to look wider. Anyway, so the connecting tissue story is actually a lot more fun than the other ones. It's not like, the other ones which are like what was it in like the 94 ones are like, we're cops and we're investigating this thing. It's a lot of like, what's going on? It's always like, we're in this house, shaky cam. And they're like, what are these? It's always like that kind of stuff. And then they're like, oh, what is this tape? Ka-chunk. And it's like, and it's like the next segment kind of stuff. This time it's a little bit home movie. It's like a kid, taking their action figures and doing like stop motion and all that stuff, and then like doing a voiceover like, oh my god, that kind of stuff. And it's cute. It's a lot shorter, which is a lot more interesting because it goes. And then something I had hung up right behind the camera fell. Okay, thank God that was foam. Could have broke that expensive camera. Anyway, so yeah, it because a lot of times like the connecting stuff, you're like, what are you talking about? Or like, get on with it. I want to see the next segment. I don't care. This one's just like, I got my toys. And then it just suddenly just goes to the next thing. So, what did I say? Oh, I wrote down. Oh yeah, because it's a VHS movie and we're keeping up the tradition of me writing things down. Haven't done one of those kind of reviews in a while. Might be one soon. Anyway, feels a lot more like a home movie tape. Feels like a lot more like a home movie tape you find at a garage sale. Yeah, because a lot of the video overlapping stuff, it was very good what they did with taking the wraparound segment and then kind of interlocking it, like editing it so it looks like the little animation stuff ran into, the other stuff, the first segment kind of stuff, where it's just like, the whole like glitch found footage shit of like, oh, I taped over another thing, double exposure, oh, what, huh? As my nose is so itchy. So the first segment's called Shredding. It's a bunch of dumb friends. And they're like, oh, we're gonna break into this like venue place building. It caught on fire because years ago this band was like performing, and then like it was like they died or some shit like that. And it's one of those where it's like, what's gonna happen. They're gonna go there. They're gonna get like haunted by, the dead band and all that stuff. But you want to see like what transpires. So let's see. Yeah, it's an all girl group. I said it's very 90s looking. Randomly splicing Ryan Dunn from Jackass. Yeah. So like the young people, the teens in the movie that are in the segment that's like, we're gonna go into there's the thing that where the people died and stuff. They also kind of like are trying to do like Jackassy kind of things, because that was also around the time when Jackass was like starting to be like a thing, like was like getting like really big, and a lot of stuff like they would cut in and then like over filter. It's like, that's from Jackass. Like, unless they somehow like recreated it to the exact camera angle and to the T, I was like, that's stuff from Jackass. Like, as someone who's watched Jackass from the beginning and met some of the people in that cast, I'm like, that's Jackass. Anyway. Oh yeah, so then it's like, dead man kills the dumb friends, they look like zombies. So of course it's like, the all girl band that died in the fire. Then it's like the friend group that's like all dudes and one girl, and they're like 1, 2, 3. Well, it's funny, they don't do the 1, 2, 3, 4. you know? But they count all the way down to 8. Like, they're gonna do the band thing and do some dance moves. They're like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, da da da. And I'm like, what? When that happened, I was like, oh, they're keep counting. Okay, they're gonna keep counting. They're just playing some shit punk that kids do when they're young, and they're like, we have a band together. I'm like, believe me, like, in my middle school to high school days, I was like in a perceived 4 to 5 different bands kind of stuff, where it's like we actually had like at least one practice each, or like we talked about doing a band, or like, hey, let's just say we're in a band, just because like everyone else we knew was in a band, you know what I mean? It's like I was in about like 5, 2 of them had practice, and then here we are today, anyway, so love the whole, oh yeah, yeah, so that happens, like, so then, while they're doing their, their jam session kind of stuff, you hear the dead band, you hear them, like, get off our stage, or something like that, and then, like, then it's also like, and they're like, ah, all that stuff, so that segment is kind of fun, the makeup was very interesting, definitely, obviously it makes sense for them to be zombies, because, like, they're dead, and then they're back again, I don't know. What I write? Love the homemade stop motion silliness that goes by quickly. I mentioned that already. Next segment is called Suicide Bid. It's about a girl who is, what's her face? I literally wrote that. What's her face from Into the Badlands? The Greek chick. The one with like the very like, prominent dark eyebrows and the super blue eyes. She's like wanting to join a sorority really badly, and she like makes a video and she's like, hey guys, I really want to be in this sorority, that kind of stuff, but she's only applying to one. I have no idea about sororities. I went to art school, so there really wasn't like a popularity contest, because you had like the normie art people, and then you had like, I guess I would say I'm part of, like, the not-so-normie, but kind of normie art people, where it's, like, the art I make is not normie, but in the art, like, in an art school, that's kind of normal for me to be like, yes, blood and guts, yes, oh, dead babies, yeah, weird shit, things that make you think way too much, okay, and then there's, like, the last tier, which is the, like, what? When you're classmates with someone who, like, everyone else is painting on canvas and board and paper, and this motherfucker just glued a bunch of shit to cardboard, and it was like, I'm done, and it's like, bro, we're not in fine arts, we're in illustration, what the fuck are you doing? You're in the wrong department, anyway, so that's how much I know about sororities. So she's like, I really want to be part of this sorority, and her roommate or whatever was like, you're gonna do a suicide bid, and a suicide bid, obviously, is when you apply to one sorority, and obviously if you don't get it, that means you're dead, you're out, you're not part of the in-group. Again, I don't know, like, I went to art school for college, so, like, everyone was in and not in all at the same time, because you're in art school, so, they do the pledge thing, they're like, so, this pledge has been around since blah, 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 and da-ba-da-da, so they were like, they were gonna bury her in, like, a coffin or whatever stuff, and it's like, if you can spend the entire night, then you're one of us, but like, here's a string, attached to a bell, so if you get scared, you could do that, we'll be around, but if you ding-a-ling-a-ling, then you won't be part of the thing, so of course you're gonna want to, like, suffer in claustrophobia the entire night, so once she's inside the coffin, and, the camera's on her, because, of course, this is VHS, everything is found footagey, duh, once she's in there, becomes that movie Buried, the one with Ryan Reynolds, where it's like, it had the feel of claustrophobia a little bit better, because there was the one camera, and it was very close to her face kind of stuff, where you just see a lot of the stuff happening, and then, oh god, there's one part where, like, spiders, like, big old spiders, like, counting the legs, were, like, all over her, and I was like, oh, okay, yep, that's great, guys, that's great, cool, totally not freaking out, yeah, so all that stuff's happening, she's screaming, and all of a sudden, like a face shows up, like, cause it's, like a face shows up in, like, the opening, there's, like, a window kind of thing, and there's, like, a face, and she's like, ah! all that stuff's happening. And a lot of the girls are all, and it was like raining too, so like water was coming into the coffin and shit. And again, just like the other segment, you kind of know what's gonna happen. Like, she's gonna end up dead, and then she's gonna end up like, killing the sorority sisters kind of stuff. And yeah, that does happen. It's just like, again, you want to see how the journey is gonna be. You know what the destination is. You're there for the journey. And so you see what happens, and those girls are just like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Oh my god, she's freaking out, blah, blah, blah. They come back the next day, and, it rained, so it's flooded, and they're like, oh my god. And one girl, like, goes in there, like, blah, 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 into the water, comes back up, and she's like, it's empty! The coffin's empty! And they're like, what? It's empty? How? Of course, the girl shows up all fucked up. She's like, she's like, I'm here to, pay revenge. Let's say pay homage, Jesus. Pay revenge for bitch fuck, the one who was killed years ago. And they're like, oh my god! And then it cuts to all the girls in a coffin, like in their own little coffin. They're like, oh my god! Yeah. And so they got what's coming to them, so good on ya, The next segment, which is like the longest segment, or was that the longest segment? I think so. Yes, it was. It was the longest segment, which was like a Legends of the Hidden Temple kind of Double Dare kind of game show kind of thing, where that guy Steve Ogg, he was in Walking Dead. He also did voice acting work for like Grand Theft Auto. He's like the host. He's like, hey guys, we're gonna do this thing, all that stuff. And just like Double Dare or like Legends of the Hidden Temple, there's like obstacle courses. Fucking hell, this dust. It's obstacle courses that, the kids have to go through and all that stuff. And there's like one obstacle course where a kid like somehow like fell a certain way and the leg like just snapped, and it's like, ah! And also like again, like in Double Dare where they're like, go find the flag in the sandwich, and it's just like gook and all that stuff. So it's like in this one, it wasn't like this is like peanut butter and jelly. It's like, no, this is like a big like gross turkey like bone covered in blood, and they're like, that stuff. Like, I got it, I bobbed for the cudgel kind of thing, and so yeah, so a kid like breaks her leg, all that stuff, and then the camera kind of pans out from like the TV to show like the mom of the child who's like now in like a wheelchair, and the leg is just like moldy and like gray and all that. It ain't looking right. And the mom was just like, she captured the fucking, host, tore his wig off kind of thing. Because they made sure to, like, make his wig very obvious, like, he's wearing a wig. Because it's, like, a very much, like, bam, peace kind of stuff. And plus, if you know what Steve Ogg looks like, he's, like very prominent, kind of, like, all that stuff. But anyway, they captured him, he's all, like, bound and, like, what the fuck? And she's like, look what you did to my baby! That kind of shit. Look at her leg! I don't know. And then she makes her own obstacle course to have the guy go through. And it's, like, he's got, like run over, like, here's fucking, okay, laptop, shut up. It's like, here's fucking, like, a plates covered in, like, broken light bulbs and stuff. He's got like step on it and go through the obstacle course, and then he gets through, and she's like, you were a few seconds off, and he's like, and they fuck him up. What was it? The bleeding occurs during wholesome times. Yeah, mom and her kid locks up hose. Mom makes host go through. Yeah, exactly what I said. Mom makes the guy go through the thing. So it just pretty much, she's just like torturing this guy, and it's kind of one of those. Yeah, it's one of those, like, that's what you get, Like, you're watching it, and the moment it pans out of, the game show part to show, like, her, like, showing him the footage, like, hey, look, this is what you did to my baby kind of stuff. You're like, oh, I know exactly what's happening, So then the next segment is called Gawkers. I wrote down teenage boys doing their shit, doing teenage boy stuff. So of course there are a bunch of teenage boys, and like they live in like a cul-de-sac, and one of their neighbors is a very like pretty, like like older blonde girl, possibly like, let's just say she's like 19, 20, you know, where like she's older, but like not that much older. Oh, we're not that many years apart. Like, oh, there's nothing statutory about that. Anyway, yeah, hot neighbor, was it? Oh, I said internet connection is great, not choppy at all, because you know, all the boys like want to like talk to her, and she's like, whatever. And then like the nerdy one, you know, or like the nerdy brother of the group is like, you know, he's like, like inline skating, all like, oh, I'm skating, and then you know she's like taking a little liking to him, but like in like a I'm being nice neighborly way, not in a you know weird like call Chris Hansen kind of way. And of course the guys are like watching like from like their window, they're like, oh, how does he do that? He's getting the chick. He's getting the chick. Oh my god. And then you know because he's nerdy, he's like, yeah, I'll help you set up like your computer stuff and a webcam. I think about like 1999 webcam. How fucking big was like the webcams were always like small like this, but like back in '99, like you might be able to luck out and get like full motion picture, but it won't be like it would be like very choppy. It's also like pixely like hell, or it's the one where there's a camera but like it takes a picture like every few seconds, so like so you'll get stuff like you know like it'll just be like you know like little things like you'll see that, but of course you know I get it, it wouldn't work with the story, but I'm just like as an old who lived through those times, you know. And, you know, she's just there like perfectly American Pie style, like you see, you know, like yeah, even American Pie came out around then, even they said like, dude, you need better internet, and you know she's just like ba-da-da-da, like taking off. That's the only nudity you see in the movies, because like she takes off her top and you see her boobies, and then it's so funny because like she starts you know undressing to go to the shower, and all the boys are like you know like they do, and then all of a sudden you just hear like a and you're like what the fuck, and then she goes to like she like takes off her skin and she's Medusa. The bitch is Medusa. I was like, all right, I'm with this now, because I was like, where is this? Like, where's the turn? You know what I mean? Like, where's the turn? Part of me was thinking like she was just like take off her wig and be like, it's a dude. Like, kind of let's go '90s transphobia. You know, why not? Yeah. So I wrote down, yeah, she's Medusa, and then the boys are like, you know, they're like, what the fuck, oh my god, blah. And then, you know, all of them, like, you know, they end up getting, like, turned into stone, and it was great. It was just funny, like, just a head goes flying, and it's like, boom, and it's, like, painted all gray and stone, like, but that was fun. That was fun. The last segment, I only wrote 2 things. It's called To Hell and Back, and I just wrote down Seance, Exorcism, Chaos. So it's pretty much that. It's like group of people. This one's also directed by the guy who did the Deadstream movie that's also on Shudder right now. Which kind of makes sense. Like once you figure out like who directed it, like, oh, it has that same kind of vibe as like that Deadstream movie, you know? And also he's in front of the camera, because I was like, is that the guy? And then I looked and I was like, oh, that is. I was like, that looks like the guy in the other thing. Yeah, you heard me. It's pretty much what it is. It feels like, was it Paranormal Activity 3? Yeah, Paranormal Activity 3. Like, you know, at the end where it's like suddenly just like, you know, when you get a bunch of white women together, like, you know, it's either an MLM or like a cult or something. And so it's a bunch of them, and there's like a lady on the table, and it was just like, well, you know, we're gonna do some witchy poo stuff, and then, you know, like I said, chaos ensues, and like, ah! And then like something is like, I'm going to talk to you this whole time, like some little creature thing, and like, well, it's a woman, but she's all like jacked up looking, you know, and she's like, okay, well, we'll just go over here, like all, ma'am. Then suddenly they're like outside, and like it's like mad rocks and shit and deserty, like where how hot that, and then you see like a thing, it's just like a little creature guy like on a rock. He's like, like that's the this segment was very much a lot of like, oh, what was that? You know, like cutting up the camera, like that kind of stuff. You know, because it's a short segment. Like, you know, who cares? Who really cares about like actual full storytelling? Because it's supposed to be found footage, so it's just a bunch of like things happening in front of you. Whatever. Who cares? You know, all that stuff. So that was happening, and then yeah, so like in the end they all got, and then like they're like, we can't do that. I don't know. I don't know. I was also starting to fall asleep, to be honest, because I was watching this pretty late in the evening, and I was like, no, I'm like, it's VHS. I always sit through these movies really well. When it got to this last segment, I was watching it, I was like, and it's not the segment that got me bored. It was just, it was late, and I was just watching it, and I was like, starting to like dip a little, and then I was like, and then like the credit music hit, and I was like, huh? Huh? Wait, you know, scrubbed back to where I remember it last, and I was like, okay. Alright. And then when I got there, I was like, okay, cool, that didn't really tell me much. It's exactly what I thought had happened, you know? It just, like I said, things happening, it's, again, exactly, you know, what you knew what was gonna happen, you know? With each of these segments, you knew there was something that was gonna happen, but again, how it was gonna happen is what you were interested in. And so, yeah, just stuff flying, just lots of screaming. In the end, it's like the person holding the camera just like writes down a piece of paper, like, you know, the name of who was like causing all the shit. It was Stephanie. I forgot what the name was. It was like, what was it? No, Mildred was the other movie. It was like, oh, blah blah blah. Anyway, whatever. But it was like, here you go, oh my god, and then it ends, and the whole, you know, shebang ends. And I actually thought it was gonna like end with, oh god, who's calling me? Jesus. I don't know these people. Spam. But I thought it was gonna, usually it ends with like another segment, but I forgot that the wraparound segment, like had connected to the teenage boy thing. Because it was the nerdy kid who was the one making the fucking stop motion the entire time. So it just kind of like went to the Medusa thing and just quick cut into the like, we will have a seance and exercise this bitch kind of shit. So when it ended, it just truly ended. But yeah, I had fun with this VHS one, but I really liked VHS 94 a lot. Like, of all the VHS ones, I think, yeah, that was like my favorite one. First one was okay. I think second one I was like, no. I think Viral, I think I was just like, well, because also VHS Viral, like, went with more obviously like digital media. It was like, even though it was called VHS, it was still very much like, oh, this is like, it was very like YouTube central kind of stuff. But yeah, this, like, especially these last two, because they made sure to say it was in the 90s, so it was like 90s VHS tapes. So like the directors and all the people involved were like, okay, got it, we got it, you know. Anyway, VHS 99. I'm fine with them doing, I'm fine with them doing this every year, because I'm fine with anthology series, especially like, you know, you get to like I was supposed to say meet, but like learn a bunch of like unknown directors, see their little segments, and then if you end up seeing like a larger movie, you're like, oh, okay. Like, that's how I found out about like Ty West, because he did like the ABCs of Death stuff, and you know, he did like little segments, and his segments were always the stuff I liked. So then when I saw him do big stuff, I was like, ooh, you know, like that's always really interesting. It's also, again, like a really great way to like help indie directors. So you don't need to do the magnus opus of have your 3-hour, you know, art house movie kind of stuff. You can do your 20-minute weird thing where you shake a camera around for like 20 minutes, you know? But anyway, yes, I'm done talking.